Hello everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. This one is inspired by the awesome Niamh Baly. She did a fabulous cutout page where she'd cut words out of the craft journal, and I was so inspired that I thought, I've got to have a try. So I love Niamh's work. If you've not been over and seen her channel, well, in fact, that's just silly. I know you will have done. But if you haven't, check her out. She's got some amazing videos on her channel too. So I'm starting off in a large craft journal, and I'm just cutting out a heart shape that goes across 2 pages. So cut out one side and then use that trace around it to cut out the other side so that your shape is symmetrical. And then once that's done, I'm then going to paint both sides in black gesso. I didn't really think you needed to watch that because it's literally just painting the gesso on. Once that's dry, then I'm using a really large Posca pen and just starting to map out where my letters are going to go. Now, this did take some doing. I did have to sort of keep rubbing it away and trying to fit it in again. Just a little bit of juggling, really. And I think so where the white letters are, that's where I'm going to cut out. And as you can see here, I've got to the point where I can't fit my word in. So because it's still wet, I can rub it away with a baby wipe, and it doesn't really matter that there's a little bit of residue left over from the pen, because once I've cut out, I'm then going to paint back over it again in black anyway. So it's no big deal that I can still see some of those letters. So just playing around a bit, making sure I can fit all my words into the space that I've got. Thinking also about letters like O and R, where there are cut out pieces on those letters, so those are just going to be cut out as a whole piece, obviously without the centre part of those letters. Yeah, so just mapping it out really carefully. This Posca pen was a great tool for this. It is quite a thick one, and it's just a bullet tip at the end. I was so relieved once I got this done. I was beginning to think it wasn't going to fit, but it did. So then it was just a case of getting out my little cutting mat and my craft knife, which, as you know, is the scalpel that I use. It's like a scalpel type of craft knife. It is really, really effective on the craft because it is quite thick, so it's quite difficult to cut. But then that means that it stands up really well to being cut out. So yeah, just did my cutting out really carefully, little bit at a time. I usually have something on to watch or put some music on while I'm doing things like this, just to not rush, really. That's the secret. Just take your time and not rush. So I don't think you really need to watch me cutting out every single letter. It would be very, very boring. So I'm going to skip through and let you see what comes next. So once I'd cut all the letters out, I then just went back over with some more black gesso. Actually, I think that's black paint. Black gesso. Anyway, with black, because in some places you can see there are bits of the white Posca pen showing, and I didn't want that to be there. I wanted it to be completely black. So just put a piece of scrap paper underneath, and I'm just going back in with the black paint. I also paint the reverse side of the hearts as well with black, because I didn't want that to be craft. I wanted it to be definitely black, both sides. So here I'm just doing the same thing, and I did that on both pieces of the heart too. So then I'm starting to think about the background behind the heart, and here I'm going in with syrup, which is a lovely crafty type of colour. It works really nicely in the craft journal too. So I'm going to create a kind of ombre effect here. So I'm going to use syrup and sand and blend the two together in the middle. And I will actually go in later and paint over the heart shape in a different colour. But I figured it was easier to do it this way. I could get cleaner edges on my lines when I go in later and add the colour on the heart. So just blending these colours in the middle and then just sort of fading it out as it goes down the page. Creates quite a pretty background. So then once I've done both sides, I'm then using Dina's squared stamp set with some black paint, and I'm going to be stamping around the area. So I'm not going to stamp inside the heart shape on the back pages. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to use a piece of paper to help me mask the edge of the heart as well, so that I don't stamp into that. So here we go, I've got a piece of scrap paper and I'm just putting it along the line of the heart. Can you see there? Look, it hasn't gone inside. So that the only reason I'm doing that is because I want the image, I want there to be nothing behind the heart other than just the colour. So these stamps work perfectly for this page. I love how they fit together. I think it is one of my favourite stamp sets. So it will be being used quite a lot, I think. And it works quite nicely with the black paint too. Get quite a good image. So you must remember to clean your stamp really, really well if you're going to use acrylic paint with it. So now I'm going in with some colour behind this heart, and another of my favourite colours is this turquoise. It's just such a pretty, pretty colour. And again, I'm going to do an ombre effect on this heart shape. So with turquoise, and I'm going to use blackberry. So of course I'm doing the same on both sides. So then once that's nice and dry, I'm going in with the Signo Uniball in white and just carefully outlining those letters. And this just pops those out even more. And it was also quite fun to do as well, quite a relaxing job to go around all of the letters. And then just round the edge of the heart too, but quite sketchy lines, keeping it quite loose, not worrying too much about being too neat and tidy. So then I decided I wanted a little bit more interest behind the heart, so I'm using the Squoval stencil from Dina Wakley with a bit of peacock because it tones in quite nicely with the turquoise and blackberry. And of course what I do on this side, I do on the other side. And then this is the pieces stencil, and here I'm just going in with a little bit of magenta because again it works nicely with the colours that are there, and it's a little bit of a gentle contrast against the colours too. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this cutout page inspired by Niamh. Lots and lots of fun. Especially using that stamp around the edges. It works really well, I think you'll agree. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.